While John is coming up here, John and I have been on track for our meeting earlier today for the first time for many years. More than a few years ago, I was a 130-pound quarterback for the West Fargo High School Packers in West Fargo, North Dakota. John Gagliardi did not recruit me, so I ended up going to McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota, a school renowned for its football record of 50 consecutive losses in the 1970s. John went on to win 3 national championships. He ended up with more victories than any other college football coach in history. He was one of the few people inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame while still an active coach. And ESPN named him number 5 on the list of the top 10 football coaches in history. Perhaps his decision not to recruit me worked out okay for him. John Gagliardi is exactly the kind of coach who deserves the Ronald L. Jensen Award for Lifetime Achievement. John Gagliardi, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, to receive something like this, really a guy should have the decency to be dead. You know. But I am happy to be here. And at my age, I'm happy to be anywhere. I feel like one of you, and not sure which one of you I feel like, but I know there's 3 stages of life. There's youth, middle age, and boy, you're looking good. Lately, I've been hearing that, boy, I'm looking so good. I'm not sure what that translates into, but I'm surprised to see that I'm still around here. That I know that I've reached the point where I know that I can't coach more than 1 or possibly 2 more decades. So, and I know that there are a couple of signs I got to watch for. I've got to start worrying about. There's things that you can notice that you should think about retirement. And the first sign is that if you start to forget to zip up. Then you really got to start really thinking about it pretty carefully when you start to forget to zip down. And boy, the third thing is when you really got to. I can't remember the third thing. I've been at St. John's a long time because, when we won our 4th national championship or 3rd, Father Dietrich gave me he thought it was safe to give me, Brother Dietrich, pardon me for promoting you to Father. I meant demoting. But he felt it was safe now to give me a lifetime contract. But he's got a couple of clauses in there that they can, if we start losing to St. Thomas, that they can give me the last sacraments and declare me dead. Well, I'm here to say that, to recognize the fact that as every guy knows here, that behind every successful guy, there is a very, very surprised mother-in-law. Well, we all know that. course, when we first got married, I said to Peggy, my wife, I said, I don't know much about marriage, so I've been coaching a while, so let's handle this like I handled football. I'll make all the major decisions. You make the minor decisions. Well, last year we celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary, and I'm here to tell you there's not been one single major decision come up yet. Well, a couple of years ago, I get an honor like this in Minneapolis, and the person called me. He got carried away with himself, and called me a great and noble man. And on the way back to St. John's, I was kind of quiet, and Peggy said, "What are you thinking about?" I said, "Gee, I'm just kind of wondering how many great and noble men there are in this world." She said, "I don't know for sure, but there's one less than you think there are." I did tell the group yesterday that on our anniversary, Peggy said to me, she said, "Yes, but I know that you've always liked football better than you have me." And I said, "Well, that's probably true, but I want you to know that I've always liked you a lot better than I like basketball." So, and you know that when I first signed, my first game at St. John's a long time ago. The first scrimmage we had, of course, was when General Custer came through there. And we scrimmaged them, and I knew they were in terrible trouble. They couldn't defend anything. But in our first game against St. Cloud State, we got a big lead. And got into the fourth quarter, and we looked around to see, we tried to get everybody in the game. He said, "Who hasn't played?" And we had 2 minutes to go. He said, this little quarterback, freshman quarterback that just got on the team this week, he hasn't been in the game. So I called him over, and I said, "Come on in. You're the only guy that hasn't been in the game." He said, "Oh, I don't know the plays." He says, "I just got here and ran a few scout plays." I said, "Well, can you take the snap from the center?" He says, "Yeah, the guy I've been working with is in there." I said, "Well, there's only 2 minutes to go. Take the snap and run as fast as you can around the left end. Then take the snap again, run around the right end." Then I said, we're 90 yards away. Then I said, "Run a quarterback sneak, and then just punt a ball out of there." Well, first play from scrimmage, he makes a dazzling run down the sideline to the 50. The next play, he runs it down to the 40, their 40. Then on a surprise quarterback sneak, he gets all the way down to the 1-inch line where they tripped him up. And he's looking at the clock, time running out. He gets the team in the huddle, in and out, and goes into punt formation. And with time running out, he punts the ball clear out of the stadium. So I got him in the locker room. I says, "Man, Billy, that was one dazzling drive. My God, that was incredible. But what were you thinking about on that last play?" He says, "All I could think about is what a dumb coach St. John's hired here." Well, some reporters asked me when we won our last national championship and we broke the record and all that. He said, "Wouldn't this be a good time to retire?" And I said, I was up on the stage with 3 of my players at a press conference. I said, "Look, what you're asking me to do is leave these guys that I've spent my lifetime, coaching football. My God, it's a step above kick the can. and they've paid me for all this thing. They pay me to do this thing. And I'm with these 18 to 22-year-old guys, and you're asking me to leave these people and go find a park bench and play checkers with a bunch of guys that got no interest in what I got to say. Can't hear me anyway. They can't. And you want me to leave these guys? I says, I'm going to stay with these guys here. And so anyway, the other thing they say, well, where did you get your motivation? Why do you always asking about that? I said, well, that's easy to say because I got that when we won again another national championship. The president of the college, Father Coleman, good Benedictine monk, he gave a sterling talk and again finished it by saying, "John, we love you." So I thought, boy, that's pretty good. And the next time I saw him, I said, well, that was great. I appreciate that. But are you going to still love me if we start losing to St. Thomas? Oh, John, we're going to still love you. And, boy, we're going to miss you a lot, too. Well, thank you very much. It was really great to be here.